Hi, good evening. I'm to Dr. Thusha. My name is Nasuha binti Yusoff. The title of my research proposal is The Effectiveness of Group Work to Foster English Speaking Skills Among Upper Secondary School Students. The content of my assignment that I'll be presenting are the introduction, background of the study, research problem, research objectives, research questions, theoretical background, research methodology, and also significance of the study. Firstly, let's look at the introduction. The English language itself has rapidly evolved into being the official language of 53 countries and is spoken by around 400 million people all over the world. As the most common second language, mastering English could provide you with many advantages, especially in connecting with many people across the globe, according to Zishan in 2021. As written in the Malaysian Education Blueprint 2013 to 2025, one of the 6 key attributes needed by every student in this country to be globally competitive is to have bilingual proficiency. So this means that when the student graduates from high school, he or she should be able to work in both Bahasa Malaysia and English speaking environment. There are 4 main skills in English, but the common skill that the students and many English as second language ESL learners find the hardest to practice is speaking skills. There are many obstacles and challenges people must face when it comes to speaking English with others, and one of them is the anxiety of making mistakes. So, according to Horwitz et al. 1986, as cited in Sandra et al. 2020, the major causes of language anxiety are communication apprehension, fear of negative evaluation, and test anxiety. Therefore, teachers have to use different teaching techniques which would increase the students' ability to speak English effectively, according to Marlow 2022. There are many methods that can be applied, and one of them is group work. Learners like to spend more time doing collaborative work because it allows them to acquire more information and improve their social analysis abilities. This research is done after considering there are many factors that can affect the effectiveness in successfully implementing this technique, which is group work among the students. So the students' point of view on whether this method is working for them or not is also one of the important reasons why this research is undertaken. Next, we'll move on to the background of the study. The widespread usage of English as a lingua franca by the majority of people around the world has essentially characterized global progress in this 21st century, according to Marla. So everyone is aware of the fact that this language is used and exists in many settings around the world, such as in business, marketing, advertisements, education, and so on. Therefore, in the Malaysian context itself, in order to produce more students who have the ability to be proficient in the English language for the purpose of widening their potential to be able to compete globally, the English language subject has been an essential subject that is compulsory to be taught in all educational levels from the kindergarten up until the higher education. So reading and listening skills are receptive abilities, but writing and speaking are productive. So speaking is regarded as the most crucial of the 4 abilities to acquire when learning a new language, according to Noonan, as cited in Barker et al. Also, Patel and Jane, as cited in Barker et al., also agreed that communication is the primary function of language. As a result, in order for you to master a language, learners must be able to speak it. Even though listening, speaking, reading, and writing abilities they carry equivalent importance towards English learners, speaking skill generally takes precedence over the others since speaking and communication occurs frequently every day in one's everyday life, both in formal and informal context. Undeniably, every single thing in this life, if you want to be able to be skillful in it, you have to practice it, right? So just like speaking English, it takes time and requires a lot of exercises for you to improve the way you speak in English and to increase the level of fluency in speaking it. And as we know, there are various strategies that teachers could plan and execute during an English class to enhance the students' English proficiency as a whole. such as storytelling, role-playing, playing games, song rendition during the lesson, and many more methods. And for this research especially, I am going to focus on the implementation of group work during the English subject to really bring great outcomes needed by the students, which is the mastery in English skills, specifically speaking skills. Between individual work and group work in the classroom, group work itself has become the main subject of this study after considering there are many factors which could restrain the advantages of this student-centered method from being performed among the students. According to Marla, the circumstances that could possibly become the obstacles in performing group work during a lesson are such as the learner's motivation, the student's lack of interest, different social backgrounds among the students, and etc. However, based on a study by Doa, as a proposed teaching technique, group work has a favorable impact on students' speaking performance, and it could motivate them to create effective learning outcomes. Therefore, the focus of the study is directed towards the research is to investigate whether or not using group work during English lessons is effective to improve ESL learner skills and confidence in speaking English. Next is the research problem of this research. It is undeniable that having to teach English to second language learners is not as easy or as simple as it seems. English teachers have to constantly adjust their teaching techniques and apply differentiation strategies in lessons for the purpose of getting to cater to all students' needs according to their proficiency. Harris, as cited in Marla, stated that teachers can use a range of teaching strategies as well as knowledge of students' levels and execution of which strategies are best for certain students to determine which teaching approaches will be most beneficial for their students. On the other hand, according to Marla, there are many aspects such as the learner's differences, learner's motivation, and teacher's role that contribute to why one strategy or method utilized by the teacher was unsuccessful in teaching English effectively. According to Hammer, as cited in Marla, a whole class grouping has both practical benefits and drawbacks despite its significant restrictions. Group work has certain downsides, such as not giving individual students an equal opportunity to express themselves, which is also not an effective approach to organizing collaborative language education or explicitly task-based sequences, and so on. And based on a study done by Noorah in 2017 entitled Benefits and Difficulties of Learning in Group Work in EFL Classes in Saudi Arabia, some students in her study mentioned challenges regarding working in groups, and most of which were related to student behavior and could lead to uncooperative group work. Her findings demonstrated that her students consider group work to be helpful to their learning, but that some students' behavior problems may hinder them from benefiting from it. As presented in the findings of her study, learners stated that they sometimes considered working in groups to be a waste of time. This was especially true in mixed ability groups because it requires students of varying levels of ability to cooperate with each other. So sometimes students would complain that in these groups, several students would approach their friends who are more advanced for help far too frequently, and in their opinion, this behavior might bother other members of the group as it would disrupt their focus. After going through Nora's study, I can totally relate to the problems faced in the Malaysian classroom because since most public high schools in Malaysia consist of Malay students as the majority of the students in the school, the Malay language has become the language used to communicate in every setting of the school. So therefore, even during the group work or pair work, which is done during the English lessons, students would feel more comfortable to talk in Malay with their friends. So given all the problems of group work stated just now, this research aims to investigate how beneficial it really is to work in groups in terms of enhancing the students' English speaking skills and to see whether this learning method brings out more good or bad towards the learners during the second language acquisition to truly clarify and emphasize its effectiveness. Now let's look at the research objectives. The purpose of this research is to investigate the effectiveness of group work during English subjects to foster English speaking skills among upper secondary school students by obtaining the students' perspectives regarding group work along with the problems they face during group work. And additionally, this study would give a clearer perspective to see and evaluate whether group work does help elevate the student's ability to speak English confidently, or it is not able to deliver the advantage it is supposed to give in improving ESL learners' speaking skills, specifically among the upper secondary school students. So the objectives of this study are: the first one, to identify the students' perceptions on the effectiveness of group work to foster their English speaking skills. And the second objective is to investigate the problems faced by the students during group work activities. For the research question, based on the two research objectives mentioned just now, the research questions are: the first one, what are the students' perceptions of the effectiveness of group work to foster their English speaking skills, and also what are the problems faced by the students during group work activities. The theory that I have chosen that is suitable for this research is Vygotsky's social constructivism theory. So Lev Vygotsky proposed social constructivism as a learning theory in 1968. Language and culture, according to the theory, are the foundations by which humans experience, communicate, and comprehend reality. Language and culture, according to Vygotsky, are crucial in human intellectual growth as well as how people see the world. This means that the concepts are transferred through language, which is then received and applied through experience and connections in a socio-cultural context. While the constructivist views knowledge as something students create on their own based on their experiences in their surroundings, the social constructivist views knowledge as something students create in cooperation with other students, educators, and also their peers. So social constructivism is a form of cognitive constructivism that stresses collaborative learning, whether with the help of a facilitator or with the help of other students. And according to Vera et al., social constructivism is a collaborative learning approach that emphasizes students' involvement, discussion, and knowledge exchange. It is the teacher's responsibility to use learner-centered and collaborative teaching approaches. The essential element is that students collaborate in groups to share ideas, solve problems, or just come up with new ideas to add to their existing knowledge. In conclusion, this learning theory is the most suitable to be related to the aim of this study, since it involves the combination of social presence and collaborative work with other people in order to create new knowledge, just like how the students would foster their speaking skills during group work in English lessons. And you can see from the figure here on how social constructivism works. The culture, the language, and also social interactions affects one's development, and in this case, it is their development in English speaking skills. Next is the research methodology. In this research, the quantitative case study method is used as a research approach to gain results from the study sample, which will be the Form 4 and Form 5 students of SMK Temerloh Pahang. The reason why the quantitative method is the best way to complement this study is that it can help in finding more detailed data to be used in the study. For a quantitative approach, the most suitable method to collect the data among high school students is through questionnaires. Questionnaires allow researchers to gather a large amount of data in a very short amount of time, and they can also gather data on personal experiences, viewpoints, and even hypothetical situations, which is what I'm trying to do in this research. And from this population, a few samples, which are 4 upper secondary school classes consisting of 85 students, are chosen to represent the population. The 4 classes I have picked to become the sample of my study are the 4 Ibnu Sina, 21 students, and 4 Ibnu Khaldun, 20 students from the Form 4 classes, and 5 Ibn Sina, 24 students, and 5 Ibn Khaldun, 20 students from the Form 5 students classes. For the instrumentation, firstly, a list of questionnaires will be created, which will be distributed physically during the school period. The researcher will ask permission from one of SMK Temelo's English teacher to consume some of her time during the English period in the classes in order for the survey to be distributed to the students and give them some time to answer it. The questionnaire questions were taken from the study by Professor Dr. Qasim Obayez Al-Azawi from the University of Babylon alongside lecturer Ala Baji Al-Khazali from the University of Kufa under the research entitled Group Work Effectiveness in English Language Teaching, published in 2019. The questionnaire for my study consists of both structured and unstructured questions, and for the structured questionnaire, the students have limited answers for it, and for the unstructured questionnaire, the students can answer the questions freely. The structured questions consist of Likert scale questions where the students have to choose from 4 options, which are strongly agree, agree, disagree, and strongly disagree. The original questionnaire only consisted of Likert scale questions, but in order for me to complement this study's research questions, the researcher I have mixed 2 unstructured questions into 2 of the questions that require further elaboration, and some of the questions also have been changed to better fit this research. The questionnaire consists of 20 questions altogether. Simple language and simple vocabulary will be used to construct the items in the questionnaire to ensure that the students of the upper secondary level from different backgrounds will be able to comprehend the items given and capable of giving answers based on their understanding for this study. So what I'm planning for the data collection is the teacher will assist me to distribute the questionnaire to the students in their classes. Regarding the estimated time for the survey to be held, I will need in average the first 20 minutes of the English period for me to explain about this questionnaire and for the students to finish answering the questionnaire. Lastly, to analyze the data, I will be using SPSS to analyze descriptively and show the results of the numerical findings, the mean, the average mean, and also the standard deviation of the data from the answered questionnaires. Lastly is the significance of this study. I have decided to come up with this study as I believe it is very crucial to determine the effectiveness of executing group work as one of the ways to improve and develop upper secondary school students' proficiency in speaking English. This study may be significant to high school students and their teachers, especially English teachers. And by initiating this research, anyone would be able to see either how much group work can help in developing the students' self-confidence to speak in English, or if this method would not be able to work in implementing its goal within the students due to many factors and barriers which will be elaborated in this study. This study will discover the students' perceptions of group work and how it really helps them. Therefore, through the questionnaires that will be distributed to them, the students can voice their opinions and how they really feel about group work and also the troubles they usually face when participating in group work. This study can benefit teachers, especially English teachers, as references for them to execute group work in the classroom and to ensure that the purpose of group work can be achieved through the right methods and activities. Hopefully, students, learning institutions, and also English teachers could obtain benefits from this research so that they would be more aware of the problems that occurred among their students during group work. By being aware of this issue, many effective strategies and approaches could be done to make sure this method is able to bring the benefits it is supposed to deliver in developing the students' ability and fluency to speak in English in a safe space. And with that, I conclude my research proposal presentation. Thank you very much and have a great evening.